Hey everyone, this is Taco from the Daily Sporting, and did you know that Kendrick Nunn is a top 20 player over the past week in fantasy basketball? Well, we discuss that and more on This Week in Fantasy Basketball. What's up, guys? Like I said before, this is the talented Mr. Taco from the Daily Sporting coming to you with another This Week in Fantasy Basketball video. What we like to do in This Week in Fantasy Basketball is we like to cover some of the best players that you can pick up and cover everything that's happened in this week in basketball, because so many things change, and especially with COVID, there's so many moving parts and players that are going to be in your lineups, out of your lineups, and Kendrick Nunn is a perfect example of this. Kendrick Nunn had basically been buried at the bottom of his bench so far this season, when you have guys like Dragic and Butler and Tyler Hero, who's really getting a lot of time to shine on that offense. But with Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler out dealing with their own injury concerns, Kendrick Nunn has emerged to be a force again. He's averaging 35 minutes over the past 7 games, shooting 56% from the field and 83% from the free throw line. He has 3 3-pointers per game, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.8 steals. He's been an absolute stud. If we look at his stats here, he's only owned in 48% of leagues, okay? And before this, he hasn't been the greatest, okay? And we have to mention that his minutes really weren't there before these injuries. However, with everything that's gone down, he's really gotten the opportunity to shine, and if you can add him over the short period of time, I would say he's someone that you definitely want to add onto your roster. Now, maybe you want to have him replacing your last guy just for a couple of weeks, I think, or a couple of games. I think that's the perfect way to play it. He's not someone that I'm going to drop someone major on my roster for, or a good player that's maybe slumping a little bit. He's someone that I get rid of for the least talented player on my team, and I use him until that situation changes and his minutes change, and then I get rid of him for the next Kendrick Nunn that shows up on the waiver wire based on what's going on. And with COVID being such a concern, it's going to open up the opportunity for a lot of guys in weird situations to really just shine, just because it's going to be a lot of unknowns for the season. But what we do know for the season so far is how it's shaking out. And Jokic is right now running the field, and he's leading the pack. He's been performing like a monster. If you look at it, he's the only player that we have in the top 25, other than Julius Randle, who has over 100 in each category, being rebounds and assists, plus having over 400 points. There is nobody that touches him again other than Julius Randle. When we look at it, Kawhi Leonard has been super efficient, especially over this past week, which has really brought his numbers up on the season to being the number 2 player in fantasy basketball. If you look at it, 505, 50% from the field goal, 90% from the free throw, only 27 turnovers with 31 3-pointers and 389 points and 86 assists. Yeah, this guy's really showing up. Damian Lillard is keeping his efficiency and his numbers sky high this season, as he has been over the past couple of seasons. And as we mentioned on the James Harden video, because going into the season, James Harden was a huge question mark, and I had mentioned this, and I had said that I would take a guy like Damian Lillard over James Harden because more than likely he would be traded, and we don't know what kind of situation that's going to lead to. So if you look at what Lillard's done, he's been everything that he was last year, but without giving you the headaches that James Harden gave you if you drafted him with the number 1 spot. And Dame Lillard is beasting. He is someone that going forward, if you hold him and you ride him, because I don't think this is a sell high guy. I think he is who he is, and he is this guy that we're seeing. Another guy that's interesting to look at, Steph Curry and Miles Turner. Steph Curry has been super efficient at the free throw line at 92%, and he only has 54 turnovers to 99 assists. So that's a really good for him. He has 89 rebounds for a guard, which is fantastic when you think about Miles Turner, who's in the 7th spot. only has 95, so that's 6 less rebounds. If you look at Miles Turner in general, Miles Turner is really only here because he shoots a decent percentage from the field and the free throw line with low turnovers, but these blocks are really what's keeping him up because points wise, he's super low compared to most people on this list. He hits you some threes, but he doesn't really get you that many. He gets you some steals, but he doesn't really get you that many. So he's a solid player, but he's not someone that when I look at, I would probably try to trade Miles Turner if I can, unless I built my whole thing on blocks where he's a dominant one category guy, but other than that, he doesn't put up enough shots in order to really change your field goal that much, and he doesn't really score enough for you to really say that he's someone that you have to keep or rebound that much that you still have to keep. So Miles Turner is definitely my number one guy on the sell high list. Paul George, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, these are all three studs that are coming out and showing what they do. They're efficient from the field. They hit three-pointers. They score points. They put up numbers in all categories, steals, blocks. I mean, if we look at Kevin Durant, 18 blocks, 10 steals, 38 three-pointers, 53% from the field, 86 from the free throw line. He's just been everything that you can ask for and more. One player that you're not seeing right now is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum took a huge fall because of the COVID testing that he had. He should be coming back Monday, but this guy has missed almost 2 weeks, we want to say, of game time. So that's definitely affected his stats, and we look forward to seeing him make it up because he definitely will be someone that'll jump right back up here. Zach LaVine's having an amazing season so far. Same thing with Middleton doing Middleton things. Brogdon's beasting. Jeremy Grant, we know that he left Denver to go to Detroit just because he wanted an opportunity to actually show and showcase his talent. And man, he's someone that I didn't bet on. I didn't think that he'd be this good, but he's really been a solid guy, a great player. He's someone that if you can try to buy on, definitely someone that I would take advantage of because he's someone that can take this all season because they really set this offense up for him. So it's not like he's going to have to defer his time or his looks to someone. So I think that he's someone definitely, if you can buy low on, definitely I would take advantage of. Brown has been super efficient compared to previous seasons, and that's why he's seeing himself vault up this list and being in the top 15 players in the league right now. If you look at what Gordon Hayward and Fred VanVleet have done, two of the free agents, they've been really good for these teams. Fred VanVleet is just a sniper from downtown, but he's really not that efficient with his field goal percentage. But he's able to get you those assists and those steals and keep those turnovers relatively low. But Gordon Hayward has just been a stat-stuffing monster going across the board, putting in work in all the categories. He's really not the best at blocks, but when you consider how many blocks really come in the league, 6 blocks is pretty respectable considering everything else that you're getting with him. So definitely someone, Gordon Hayward, that I've been getting a lot of benefits from. Butcher is pretty much, I want to say, like a poor man's Miles Turner, if that. Because if we compare Butcher and Miles Turner, 57% field goal to Miles Turner's 50%, relatively same shots. So he's more efficient. He's a better free throw shooter. He has more threes. He has more points. He has more rebounds. He has more assists. He has less turnovers. So pretty much the only reason why Butcher is lower than Miles Turner is because of the blocks. So you get 36 blocks here versus 59 blocks. So Miles Turner's blocks, again, are just simply carrying his value. And like I said, if you can get something good for Turner, now would definitely be the time as he's playing high. And we don't have guys on the lineup right now like TJ Warren. And we don't have guys like Karis LeVert back. So I think this sets him up for an opportunity to be, I feel like get you a great return and get you some guys that'll help you out. Unless you're built on blocks, and then you keep him because that's something that you really need. And just to round it out, Larry Nance Jr. at 25 is someone that's interesting to me because of everything that's gone on with the trades with the Cavs, and that the Cavs are looking at moving. Not Andre Drummond. There's no reports on moving Andre Drummond yet, but McGee is someone that they might be moving. And I think that in order for Nance to maintain his value, he's going to need someone to be moved. If we look here in his last game, he only had 13 minutes versus Boston, but he had 31, 45, 44, 48. So definitely Nance is someone that I'd be worried about. If you can deal Nance off now, do it. Do it now. Maybe he can maintain value if they're able to make a trade. But when you have Jared Allen, when you have Andre Drummond, and then you have Larry Nance Jr., and then you're talking about maybe a guy like Kevin Love comes back at some point this season, I just don't see how Nance is going to be able to maintain this level of production. So if you're able to get him for something that'll be more effective for you long term, I think you do it, even if you sell it a little bit high, or I mean, you give him a little bit less. You give him kind of more face value for the stats, knowing what you're going to expect on the back end. But I would say if you can move him, definitely move him. Just to give you a quick little rundown over what's happened over the last week, just so you can see what's going on. Over the last 7 days, we see Kawhi Leonard really just showing up and showing out. Miles Turner, again, he's actually really been playing good over this last 2 games since this. But how much do you trust it, man? 36 minutes, 43 minutes, 32. He has these games with 6 and 2. I just don't trust. I mean, we look at his stats, and he's just not someone that I expect to be scoring that much. And especially when you have all these guys out now, he's getting this ability to score. But will he maintain it? I mean, he's kicked up his threes, he's kicked up his points. But again, I'm on the sell high side on Miles Turner because of everything that's going on there. As we do a quick rundown here on some of these guys over the past week, we'll go with just the total stats here because it gives you a little bit better picture. Okay, and this is where you really see guys like Kendrick Nunn, who we were talking about, really shine through. Naz Reid is someone else that if you can add him onto your team for this short period of time, as you have a guy that probably goes on the injured list, or if you can cut someone that's at the bottom of your roster in order to get you to being full strength, to have full roster. He's a guy that you want to maybe drop for someone that's really not been effective. Hold him while he's been on his hot streak, because if you look, he's super efficient. He doesn't get you many turnovers. 9 blocks put him near the top of the list. So he's definitely someone, if you can add, he has 6 3-pointers, 17 rebounds, 56 points. Definitely someone that you might want to take advantage of. Some other guys that you might see on the wire, that you want to add is guys like this, Lewis Dort. Now, normally I do 50% or less, but I was doing this guy on Friday, and he's gone up 5% since Friday. So more and more people are starting to see how valuable Dort is. But if you look on the season, he's shooting 47% from the field, 76% from the free throw line, one turnover a game. So he stays in line with a lot of the guys that I like who are super efficient. But also we add in the fact he's getting 2.3 threes a game. He's getting 13 points a game. He has 3 rebounds a game, a steal, and an assist a game. Over the last 7 days, his scoring's been up a little bit at 14 points a game. He's maintaining that 3 average at 2 threes a game. His field goal has gone slightly up to 50%, but his free throw has gone slightly down to 60%. His rebounds are staying roughly the same at 3 rebounds a game. His assists are slightly up at 2.3. Steals are a little bit down. Turnovers are roughly the same, but overall, when you look at a guy like Dort, he's a solid guy to have on your team, especially when you're looking at some of the end pieces who really haven't been performing. I definitely think he's someone that you can add onto your team and immediately see an impact. He's already a top 100 player, so he's definitely someone that you can take advantage of. Another player that I'm going to bring up is actually an Indiana Pacer, because like I was mentioning, so many of these guys on the Pacers are out, and it's just a weird situation since the Caris LeVert, Victor Oladipo trade. So Victor Oladipo is now gone from the Indiana Pacers. Then they trade for Caris LeVert, who I expect when he comes back and he's healthy, he's going to really dominate that ball and really become a scoring presence there. But he's out right now with a health injury concern that they pulled up from his physical, something with his colon. So and then you also add the fact that T.J. Warren is out. It just opens the opportunity for Justin Holiday to really be a waiver wire beast for this next period of time. He's only owned in 33% of leagues, but he's getting 30 minutes per game. He keeps in line with everything that I said. He's an efficient and effective player. 50% free field goal, 75% free throw, under 1 turnover a game. He's hitting 2 3-pointers a game. He's getting 11 points, 3.9 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 1.2 steals, and 3 blocks, 0.3 blocks per game. So he kind of gives you a little bit of everything. Over the last 7 days, though, Field goals down a little bit at 44%. Free throws way up. He's made all free throws this week. For threes are slightly up at 2.3. Points are slightly up at 11.7. Rebounds are decently up at 5.7. Almost two more rebounds per game. Keeping the assists steady at 1.3. Steals are roughly the same at one steal. The same blocks, and he lowered his turnovers. So when you look at a guy like Justin Holiday, he's another efficient guy that you can add on at the bottom of your roster, give you some solid stats, doesn't kill you anywhere, and helps get you to a championship team. Because at the end of the day, in order to win in fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, fantasy football, you have to have the deepest, toughest team, because any week something can happen. So many times we see it in the playoffs where you lose guys, or during a week a random guy goes down between COVID or a hamstring pull or something happens, and it's the next man up, just like in real life. So this is why the bottom of your roster matters. So I see a lot of people sometimes they just have 2 free roster spots just sitting there where they didn't pick anyone up because they put someone on the IL, and they just didn't pick anyone up because they don't think anyone is worth it. To me, I think these are the situations where picking up these guys like Kendrick Nunn and Nas Reed make a lot of sense, because for that short period of time they're playing better than the guys that you have on your roster, and they're taking a spot that was already open. So it just makes so much sense to add these guys to your team, and I see so many people don't do that, and it just drives me crazy, because I'm like, what are you doing to your team? But that's why I win the leagues and why they don't. So that's what I want to teach you guys, is that, hey, doing these kind of things help you get your roster to be optimized as much as it can be, and helps you get to win as many leagues as you can. And that's one of the big reasons why you should subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give a thumbs up on this video, because what we want to do is we want to make sure we help you win your leagues and do everything that we can to help you get educated and be knowledgeable, so this way you can perform the best. Now, with that being said, I want to wrap it up with the final guy that we're going to be talking about here, and he's someone from my New York Knicks. As you see here, I am a New Yorker. I'm from New York. I like my New York sports, so I definitely give them a good watch. But Immanuel Quickley is someone, when you look at just from a basketball perspective, he makes more sense to the starting lineup of the New York Knicks, because currently their starter, Emmanuel Payton, or Alfred Payton, excuse me. Emmanuel Payton would be the hybrid of Quickley and Payton. Payton does not shoot well, and that doesn't space the floor well when you have guys like Randall, RJ, and Mitchell Robinson starting. So right now, off the bat, we know he's a better fit for that lineup. But the coach has been going with the veteran and giving him an opportunity to shine. And with that being said, we were getting blown out versus the Kings. He's finally let Quickley roll a little bit, and Quickley delivered. Now, he's owned in 24% of leagues. Okay, in the last for the season, he's averaged 17 minutes, 40% from the field, 94% free throw, 1 turnover. So field goal wise, he's a lot lower than most of the guys I recommend. But he's someone that can improve that field goal percentage as he gets used to the league. He has a nice floater. He can get to the lane. He's a good 3-point shooter. I think he just needs to find his rhythm, pace, and space in order for him to really take it to the next level here for the Knicks. One thing about Immanuel Quickley is that over his last 7 games, he's hit 2 threes a game. He's hit almost 14 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover. So other than the field goal, he's really efficient, and he's really someone that, has that potential to be a solid player. But one thing about Quickley is that if he does take over the job from Payton, it's going to give him the opportunity to really vault up boards and vault his value, because currently he's 194, roster in 25% of leagues, only getting 17 minutes per game. But if he's able to become the starter for the Knicks, you're going to be looking at a guy who's going to quickly come up, no pun intended, up the boards. He's going to be in the top 150 to I'm going to say 80. Pretty much guaranteed if he's the starter of the Knicks. So you look at a guy who's going to perform worthy of a roster spot. So I don't know if right now is the time to take him, because when is the switch going to happen? I'm not 100% sure. If you look at their games played, they play tomorrow, the 26th, but then they don't play again till the 29th 31st, and 1st. So I think for a lot of people that are going to watch this game versus Utah and make that decision, as you see, he's been super inconsistent. He's shown the flashes of being able to take over, but then there's been just games where they just haven't kept him in it. He shot a little bit bad, and coach took him out and let Alfred Payton run. But as we've been seeing with some of these losses, the coach lets him play, and he can hit the three, and I just think it's almost getting to the point where Tom Thibodeau has no other choice but to give the keys to Immanuel Quickley. And right now, with him being owned only in 25% of leagues, he's the guy to get. Now, guys, again, like I said, thank you so much for spending your time here with us. We hope you learned something. We hope that if you have any questions, you feel confident enough to drop those questions in the comments, because we do respond, we do answer, and we want to help you win your leagues. That's the purpose of this. That's why we're here, and that's why we do this for you. So for everyone here at the Daily Sporting, I am the talented Mr. Taco. This is This Week in Fantasy Basketball. We'll see you next week, guys. Catch you later. Peace.